Good evening, gearheads. Welcome to your Sunday night with Speed City. We have a great show for you tonight. There's a lot going on in the world, but we have your motorsport fix here on Sunday night. This is John Massengill sitting in the studio in Austin, joined by my cohort, Les Kaiser. How are you doing, Les?
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Yeah, it's a busy show, and it is tense. We're going to be serious for a bit.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about, and there's a lot going on in the world that we're going to try not to talk about. Some of it's connected to our world here in motorsports.
Well,
as a lot of you know.
We'll definitely take enough time of the show to make sure you understand of what will likely roll out this week. At least you'll have a foundation of whatever it is that's going to happen.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm going to open up the chat. We got people on YouTube.
I'm in Facebook. If you're around Facebook, So engage with us there.
Yeah. So, but let's talk about what we're going to talk about tonight, because we have lots. Obviously, Formula One testing at Barcelona, and we have a couple of fantastic interviews that Bob Varsha did for us. If you follow us at all, you'll know that Bob joins us during the Formula One season for our official broadcast that we do, the Formula One pre and post race shows. And if you want to find out how to listen to all that, you can go to our website, speedcitybroadcast.com. But Bob's not with us on our normal Sunday night show, but he's going to be with us in kind because he did those interviews for us. He sat down on Thursday, he sat down with Mick Schumacher, and great interview. And then he sat down Friday with Guenther Steiner, the team principal of Haas F1. And this was really a couple of hours after they removed the livery, the Uralkali Russian livery, from the car and everywhere else, by the way, including the website. They've scrubbed everything. There are no Uralkali or logos on anything Haas F1 anymore. So he sat down with him, and we're going to play clips from both of those interviews and discuss a lot about that.
You know, one of the things that makes
let me finish what we got here. So, and then we're going to talk about the Andretti Global F1 project, because that has continued, as you know, Les. That's continued down.
And those two topics may be related now.
Yes, exactly. That's one of the things we are going to talk about. And we're also going to talk about INDYCAR. We got INDYCAR opening up today, so we'll talk about that, and a very cool victory that I was so excited about this INDYCAR race. And honestly, I couldn't be more excited about Scott McLaughlin winning. So,
yeah.
I as soon as he won, I dug up an interview that we did with him in 2 years ago when he came to the States and he tested at COTA, the INDYCAR. And I think it was his second test in an INDYCAR. But if you want to get to know him a little more, go to our YouTube channel and check out that video, because he's a really nice kid. He seems so young in person. I got to do that interview, so it was really
emotional
fun
at the end of the day today for him.
Yeah, emotional and physical.
Yeah,
and physical. But let's jump right into it, because I want to start off with some of the clips from the Guenther Steiner interview that Bob Varsha did for us. And I think let's start off right at the top, where he talks about how this was literally a few hours after they removed the sponsorship. So let's start with that.
I'm speaking with Guenther Steiner, a regular figure here on Speed City Radio, and he is, of course, the team principal for the only American-owned team in the Formula One World Championship, Haas Formula One. Guenther, under the circumstances, we're very grateful for you agreeing to spend some time with us.
No, happy to be here and to explain you things if you need to know them, so always happy to be with you guys.
Great, thank you. We'll get to testing in a moment, but obviously the pressing question is the Russian invasion of Ukraine. Your team, sponsored by a Russian company, you acted very quickly to remove the Uralkali sponsorship from the car, the transporter, your social media sites, and Formula One has followed your lead, one might say, by saying that the Russian Grand Prix is off for now. Events are spiraling along very quickly. What can you tell us about how the decision was arrived at to remove the sponsorship from your vehicles?
Yesterday morning, as we got up, Gene and I were at breakfast and we discussed the situation. What happened during the night, and we just discussed it and talked it through, and then you digest it. And then when we got into the truck, basically, some of the partners told us they were behind us, but are obviously unhappy with the situation, and sat down with Gene, and we just decided to take it off. It was very, very simple, because I think that is what we should have done and have done.
Gene Haas being the team owner, of course.
All right. So Les, you know, the thing that struck me about that is that they quickly made this decision and said, this is the right thing to do. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. And, you know, folks, we're going to try to convey the magnitude of everything that's going on without getting too political or historical and things. But
Oh, we
by
might
no
actually get
means-
political.
Yeah, we're going to
I
have to
might.
touch on it a little bit, because you need to understand the magnitude of what's going on as you do things like this. This is, you know, if we ignored everything else, which is should not happen, the magnitude and the financial impact of removing your primary sponsor and all of that is a big deal for a team. You know, let's just forget about the actual identity. That is a big deal for a team to walk away from that. And so, you know, I'm going to say kudos to Gene and Gunther and team to do that, that so quickly.
And you know what? Let's go straight into the next clip, because Gunther talks about that, talks about the financial side of it. And it's this discussion is about, is this the end of your relationship with Uralkali? But he goes into exactly about the financial side of it. So let's hear this clip.
You have told the press that there are legal issues to be sorted out next week. Can we imply from that that this may mean the end of your relationship with Uralkali, and by extension with Nikita Mazepin's association with the team?
I cannot go into that, Bob, obviously, because there are contractual issues we need to sort, and I think we need to speak with the Uralkali guys about it, and then we come up with a solution. There is always a solution to be found, you know, so I wouldn't like to comment on that one right now.
Okay. We see from the news broadcast that there is apparently significant blowback to the Russian government from their actions in Ukraine. Does Uralkali have a position about the whole thing, pro or con?
No, they didn't send out anything, and they had no position to communicate.
Okay. Well, good luck with that going forward.
Okay, we're going to go to the next clip, which actually goes straight into that financial side of it. And this is him talking about all different kinds of sponsors. Let's go straight into that.
You have told the press that the finances of the team are okay, was the word you used. Does that mean that the team has been successful in developing a budget base and additional sponsorships and so forth, so that if Uralkali for some reason is not with you in the future, the team will still be all right?
Yeah, the team will be all right. The team is all right, you know, not will be, it is all right. And obviously we need to find replacements, but I think in the moment the sponsorship market is not too bad, you know, so we just need to work and find it. But in the moment we are very stable and properly financed.
I like that. Stable. And basically he just said it. And, you know, if you look at this full interview on YouTube, and you can really look at his face, I didn't see any hesitation at all. And you know, Gunther, he's not a BSer.
Yeah, no.
And I think that they are in good shape. And what he said is immediately what I thought. There are sponsors coming out of the woodwork right now with Formula One, particularly with the growth of it in the United States and the money here, let's face it.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've heard so much about the money required for a team nowadays and what's involved in getting on it. So he can't take it lightly. By all means, they have considered this through and through. And so, you know, to have that name removed from the car, to have the Russian flags, quite honestly, the only thing left Russian-wise to that car is Nikita.
Mm-hmm. And I have some interesting thoughts.
Oh, that's a whole pot we're going to stir in a bit.
Yeah, we are, because I'll just start it with this and saying, I don't really see a path to keeping him unless something completely dramatic happens. If Putin decides he's a different person, I don't see how.
Putin sponsors Haas? No. Don't go there.
So, and we have some really interesting ideas tonight we want to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was at INDYCAR all day today watching it. I didn't really get to go out and look and see what other people are saying about all of this, but I have some really interesting thoughts about the Andretti and Haas and all that too. But as far as Nikita, I don't really see how he stays. So
I honestly do not. Now, I also feel like there has to be some consideration of he has no control over his lineage, his father, etc. Do we punish him for it?
I
have a little bit of compassion, if you will, in that. But regardless, this has to be addressed on every means possible. And I'm sorry, Nikita. I mean, he's nice enough to us when we work together and professional.
He was actually surprisingly gregarious and welcoming to us. He was great with us, but let's face it, he wouldn't be here if his father weren't sponsoring the team.
Exactly.
And I think, his lap times last year showed that. And I think he's a good driver, but I just don't know if he's the caliber of where he would be today if he wasn't for his father.
I'll add to that. Let's remove all the names. Look at the grid. That one guy is always at the very end of the grid. Should he be there? Isn't there somebody that can get up 1 or 2 spots higher in the rank?
Yep. That's pretty much what I'm saying.
I think we would say that about anybody.
Yeah.
And so,
and noticeably further down.
Yeah. With the absence of our buddy here, Jonathan, I remember he got invited to Russia for a party. He didn't go, did he?
If our YouTube channel, go look that one up. It was a hilarious interaction with Nikita Mazepin because we were talking about Netflix and we were talking about how Netflix is. They traveled with him and went to Moscow and anyway, it's a hilarious clip. But let's get to a break, Les. We got lots to talk about tonight, so let's get that done. We'll take a break now. You listen to Speed City live from Austin, Texas. Lots more about all of this after this break.
Hi, this is Karun Chandok, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
All right, welcome back. Mike Bowles on YouTube says, please speak on Romain's crash on Saturday. Bell and Buxton seem to have a difference of opinion. That's pretty clear to me. He messed up.
Okay,
he just ran into the back of that car and no excuse. He had a mile ahead of him to see, but that's my opinion. So.
Yeah, he did. I hear the closing speed was incredibly fast, and he had plenty of time, kind of thing.
Yeah, Romain is obviously a incredibly fast driver, incredibly talented, and I love him. He's fun, but that was clearly a mistake. Everybody makes a mistake, and he made one then. So
hey, I want to say something regarding our, the whole topic of Russia that we're talking about through the evening this evening. By no means are we making light of the rest of the things that are happening there. And I just want everybody to understand we're totally sincere and our hearts go out to citizens of both countries.
Who isn't? I think there's only one person on the planet, and his name is Putin, who thinks this is anything other than what you just said. So I can't even imagine it. So.
Yeah, so absolutely hearts and everything imaginable go out to citizens of both countries that are not in favor of what's happening.
Yeah. All right, so let's... we're going to play clip number 6, producer. This one is Guenther Steiner talking about a potential replacement for Nikita Mazepin.
Ooh.
If Nikita Mazepin cannot continue with the team for whatever reason, do you turn to your reserve driver, Pietro Fittipaldi, or do you have any other plan?
No, if Nikita couldn't drive for one or another reason, the first call would go to Pietro. Obviously, he's with us for a few years, and then we would see what we do next. But Pietro's always around with us for the reason. I mean, the last years we needed a reserve driver with COVID, having COVID around, So he's always around. He knows the team. He knows the car. To jump in from one day to the other, there is nobody better than Pietro around in the moment.
And did he do a great job last year? Not last year, year before, at the end of the season? Yeah. It was phenomenal. He stepped in and did not miss a beat and was competitive right off the bat.
Absolutely. And, certainly he's got a great history of driving, all kinds of things. And so, I love it. The other thing, would we finally have an American driver in an American Formula One team?
Sort of.
Miami is America.
I know, but he flies. He races under the Brazilian flag, so
He was born outside of Miami, I believe it is.
so yeah. I mean, that's true. I sent out a tweet. It said, "Are we going to replace the Russian-born Mazepin with the Miami-born Pietro Fittipaldi?" But yeah, I mean, yeah, that would be cool. And I mean, he was obviously fast. Now, if
Absolutely.
that was just the beginning of that conversation, because I think Gunther was thinking, if that happens immediately or with short notice, obviously Pietro's going to get the call and he can fill in. But if they've got time, then there's lots of names that have been bantered around. Giovinazzi, there's lots of names that are being bantered around. So we'll see what happens there.
I don't see Giovinazzi getting in there. Sorry, Antonio.
Well, there's that opens up a big conversation. So it will be interesting to see that. So let's see what I think the next clip I want to talk about is, let's talk about where he talks about the new car performance, including this sea mammal issue that all the teams are having. So
I can't do it. I can't do a dolphin squeak. Yeah,
or a porpoise. All right, let's hear from Guenther Steiner again. This would be number 3, producer. This was about the.
Now let's move on to what you've been able to accomplish during this first week of preseason testing. How is the new car working for you?
Oh, we got off a little bit a rocky start on the first day of testing. We had some gremlins in the car, very small issues, which cost us a lot of time. I mean, the first morning we were ready to go out, and then we discovered that a fuel leak in the fuel tank. Strange as that sound, but the pressure wasn't right, so the engine guys do not want to operate the engine. Going into the fuel system always costs time. Then we went out, did a few laps, trying to understand aerodynamics, the ground effect, and so on. And then we had a leak of one of the cooling systems, which again took us a few hours to fix. It was a very simplistic fault. A pipe wasn't done properly, and then we spent some time to understand how the car behaves aerodynamically more than anything else. The floor, because ground effect floor, it's completely different than what we had last year, or the last years, not only last year. So that took a little bit of time, but I think we made good progress. Then the second day was actually pretty good. We were out there, got understanding, got in a good movement of doing working through things, and both drivers did quite good laps. And then this morning, unfortunately, we went out and had an oil leak on the engine, on the wrong side of the engine, basically the side towards the chassis, where you have to take the whole engine out. You have to take the gearbox first out and the engine. We took it out. I mean, it happened after 6 or 7 laps in the morning. Then everything was back together at 3 o'clock. But then the surprise was it wasn't any better. And then we had to call it a day. So basically, today we learned very little, unfortunately. But the good thing is, I think with the running yesterday, we have got a much better understanding how this car behaves. So we can do in the next 10 days to get prepared for Bahrain a lot of homework with simulations, the guys, the engineers going through stuff. The mechanics learned a lot because they had to do so much work on the car. It's a complete new car, and the only way to learn to work quicker on these cars is to do it. You cannot read a paper about it. I mean, if you have taken an engine out 20 times, they get pretty quick. The first time takes a long time because they need to get used to it. So we have been a little bit through that one. I just tried to get a few positives into this, but in general, I'm actually already looking forward to the test in Bahrain, because with the progress we made yesterday, we made big steps yesterday. So I think there is still quite a few big steps in the car from the performance side of it.
Well, you know even better than I do that if you're going to have problems, testing is when to have them and not during race weekends. It sounds like a lot of the problems you've been having are what you might call typical new car blues, a loose fitting here, a leak there, not something fundamentally wrong with the race car. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that's fair to say. There was no problem with the system or something like this. It was really, in 2022, this small problem should not happen, but they always happen. You know, you always get caught out by the 50-cent piece.
On day one, Mick Schumacher had trouble with damage to the under tray, and there's been a lot of talk about aerodynamic porpoising as teams get used to using Venturi tunnels rather than upper car aerodynamics, if I can call them that. Have you experienced that porpoising effect, and do you have a solution in mind?
Yeah, that was I meant with the aerodynamic development. You know, we found solutions to it, and you found a solution how to make it work, because when the car starts to bounce, it's undrivable, but we found solution for that one. And now you need to work backwards. How can you get, because obviously by fixing this problem, you lose performance, but how can you go back to get the performance back into the car, you know? And that is where we made good progress yesterday. And we put some parts on this morning where we could see on the data that we are the right direction. Unfortunately, we couldn't go through the whole test program, but we have got quite a lot of stuff in the pipeline where we think we can make the car better, because we understand it a lot better now.
Yeah. There's a lot to unpack there. It's interesting what he said about the mechanics, right? They need practice too. It's like, I would rather them get practice in a different time. Let's get,
can we just do like the snap together models? We just took them apart, put them back together several times.
Let's do that
back
without,
at home.
Let's do that without wasting our valuable time. But look, at this point, I don't know what to expect. We don't know what's going on right now. People could be sandbagging. There's so many different things that go on during this time. It's exactly what Bob said. We got to look at with a squint.
There's some strategy that goes on that has become more and more apparent, is that during this testing, during some of these testing sessions, they may not be actually looking for the fastest lap. They may be taking measurements off of a wing angle or a change of a cowling that, okay, now we're putting some gills in it, or now we're not. And so it's sometimes not as obvious what they're really working on. And so, like I said, if he thinks it was productive, good. Yeah, he said he was looking for the silver lining, basically. So we'll take it.
I want to talk to a couple of questions that we got. These came from YouTube. Bill Ricker says, Mexico City runs their GP through the baseball stadium. It looks awesome, right? The Formula One. He said, why didn't St. Pete run past the end of stands facing away from the track? Good point. I mean, why not? I enjoyed the race today, though. I mean, it wasn't packed full of excitement. It was a great finish. You didn't know if McLaughlin was going to be able to hold on to that. And, I mean, he had more push to pass and all that. But I don't know. Bill, that's a good question. I
do like that kind of thing. And I think of Macau. Jonathan goes to Macau and calls that race series. And, you know, I love the tightness of a street race. I love.
Oh no! Oh, mayhem! We hadn't even talked about Jonathan. Sorry, he's
not in Russia.
He's up. Yeah, he's not in Russia. He's in the United States. Thank goodness.
It's St. Petersburg. Yeah, Petersburg, Florida. Let's get that clear.
There you go. Sorry, I didn't get it. He's doing Trans Am down there. He's been on YouTube Live all day. So I think he's still traveling back to the hotel. I don't even know where he is at this point, but he couldn't make it tonight. But
and I heard there was a great turnout from Corner Marshal James that also works COTA. So,
I did hear that about Trans Am.
So that a great series, great attendance out there. Things are coming back too.
Yeah, and speaking of traveling in the United States and everything, we have decided not to go. We were going to go to Bahrain. One of us was going to go to Bahrain, and we're not going to do it. We had to make the decision about 24 hours ago because the ticket prices and things were shooting up. You would think they wouldn't. With
all kinds of things.
You wouldn't think that they would go up with what's going on in the world, but I know Bahrain's not exactly close to Russia and Ukraine. But anyway,
so we're the whiteboard has been wiped clean. Coming back, we're thinking Montreal, Miami, Austin, Mexico.
Those are done. We're going to all those races. Somebody will be there.
Y'all tell us, where else should we go?
Yeah, that's a good point. We're going to all the North. Our contract with Formula One this year says we're going to go to 5 races. So obviously we're going to go to Miami, Austin, Canada, Mexico. I say obviously, probably those. And then we're going to go to at least a European. We were going to go to the Bahrain test and maybe stay for the GP after that, but I don't know what we're going to do now, so we have to take a look at everybody's schedules because this year, of course, on our Formula One broadcast, Bob will be back, and Dave O'Neill, who is the former Haas F1 team manager, is going to be back with us. So we have I mean, we have a ton of new followers on YouTube from all this activity that we've gotten from Bob's interview. And if people are just now finding us, we have a star-studded staff for our Formula One broadcast that we do. We do the official pre and post-race show on national radio. You can go to our website to find out more about that. But let's get a break in. We're at the bottom of the hour, and we got more clips, lots more to talk about. You listen to Speed City. Back after these messages.
Hello to everyone. This is Guenther Steiner. This is Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
All right. So a few minutes ago, Mike commented on YouTube, and he was talking about Andretti and giving Andretti an opportunity with Haas being in their situation. So we're going to talk a lot about that because we have some really fun thoughts about that. But to lead us into that, we're going to play a clip from Guenther Steiner talking about the Michael Andretti and all that. And if you've been under a rock, a week ago, Mario just casually dropped a tweet on
Friday afternoon.
Friday, and said, "Oh, by the way, we're doing this." So, which we already pretty much knew, but it was great. So, but let's hear from Bob Varsha asking Guenther Steiner about the Andretti deal.
In a very publicized move, Michael Andretti has made application to start a Formula One team from scratch. It sounds from the media reports as though up and down the pit lane there are mixed reactions to an Andretti, a second American team, if you will, coming into the sport. What are your thoughts about Michael's desire to start a Formula One team?
I think Michael wants a Formula One team. He tried last year to buy Sauber, which was not successful, and now he tries this way. I don't know how these days the FIA process works to get a license. I know the FOM process. You need to pay for your license, and FOM will decide with the teams together, what to do. I mean, in the end, it's a decision of the FOM what to do and not the teams, but for sure the teams will have an opinion because it impacts everybody because the revenue will be split between more people or between more teams. So obviously decreasing. So I don't think everybody will be happy about that. And I mean, I wait with my opinion until it's all official and we speak about officially how this is moving forward. Because up to now, I didn't see anything internally from FIA or from official to the teams anyway. So I haven't spoken with Michael.
Okay. So, by the way, Mike, I literally wrote almost a word for word in my notes. I said, "Is this situation at Haas the perfect opportunity for Andretti?" I wrote that in my notes. It's like Mike's hacked into my Google Drive and reading my notes. But so yes, it could be an opportunity, but there's a lot going on here, right? Let's unpack this a little bit by saying, first of all, they've applied to the FIA. The FIA needs to approve this, right? And I don't know if you saw all this, but Toto Wolff and Christian Horner both came out and were like, "Well, I don't know if we need to think about this. We need to study on this. And I don't know if they're ready. Can they get $1 billion together? Because that's what it's going to cost." And yeah, there's a lot to that because the first thing a lot of these teams think is they don't want to cut into their share of television revenue.
Right.
And as I was taking down my notes, I stumbled across this article on, I think it was on motorsport.com, where they'd interviewed Zach Brown. And Zach Brown said everything I was going to say, except much more eloquently and much more intelligently, especially because he's in the inside. But so I'm going to read a little bit about what Zach Brown said, because he said it perfectly. He said, "I think Andretti is a name, highly credible racing team, and knowing who his backers are and who he is, they will no doubt help grow the sport in North America," Zach Brown said. He also talked about how the dollars, right? He talked about these television dollars. He says, one of the concerns is about all new entrants. Will it mean their television rights income could go down and the revenue will have to be shared between 11 instead of 10?
Right.
Well, that mechanism in the Concord Agreement that says $200 million, that's your entry fee. That's your that's your cover charge to get in the door, and it's $200 million. So that should cover it for a while, right? But are you kidding me? Are you kidding me that Formula One has been just frothing to get into North America, to get into, what is the United States, like 28% of the world's GDP?
Yeah.
So a lot of those companies are ready to sponsor, and with the Netflix effect with television, the ratings are going through the roof. I think it would be short-sighted is the politically correct way to say that, but are you crazy?
Yeah.
Not wanting an Andretti Formula One team with, everything that they bring?
Come on, man.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I'm with you on that. And, I'd love to hear from our British colleague who chuckled when the Americans were going to put an F1 team on the grid
Yeah.
a couple years ago. I honestly wonder how
6 years ago now.
It's 6 years ago now. I honestly wonder how those that were so critical of Haas at that time, it's hasn't been a smooth run ship, but it's getting there. There's been some obstacles, but really, when you come and it's a name like Andretti who has Formula One legacy, where Gene Haas did not, I get it. That are you going to question that and everything that comes with the Andretti name?
Yeah.
In all its different genres and audiences.
Yeah, and backers and everything else. So I'm going to come back to something you said. You said it hasn't been run smoothly. Okay, so the Rich Energy thing was a complete debacle.
Yeah.
The Uralkali thing now is looking like a complete debacle. Now, on Uralkali, though, I think we're saying that wrong, by the way. I heard some people talking about
Uralkali.
Yeah, Uralkali. Is that so? Gene Haas said, I've achieved my goals. I've been here for 5 years. I signed a 5-year contract. We talked to Gunther about this, and he just like Gunther always does. He told us flat out.
Yeah.
Gene said, "Okay, Gunther, go get us some sponsors." And this was before the Netflix effect.
Yeah.
And Uralkali said, "We're going to write you a big, giant, fat check, and we're going to bring this son." And look, let's go back and look at what Nikita Mazepin did in Formula 2. He was good.
He did good.
He was worthy of consideration. He was worthy of a look, right? My personal opinion, after sitting across from a table from him here in Austin when they came here, was that he was very gracious and gregarious and stunningly good English. You wouldn't, when you heard him, you'd think he was from London or something. But I don't know if he has the chops to do this because, to me, at the pinnacle of this, you have to be serious about your sport, serious about everything, about your fitness, about your this. He joked about partying in Moscow, and it was very fun to have that conversation, but I don't know if he is that serious about the sport, I mean, it's just like anything. When something's given to you, rather
you
than
value it as much.
That's right. So that's my opinion on that. That's just my opinion. So
I'm with you on that. Is now a good time to go into who his father is?
I don't see why not. Yeah.
So a lot of the decisions and the things that are being said have a relationship to Dmitry. And so Nikita's father, Dmitry Mazepin. Why do we care? Well, so let's give a little history of Dmitry right quick. Well-educated, military background also in Russia. He started a fertilizer company and has done very well. He's morphed and bought and merged with chemical companies and things, and it's kept on going. He's done very well.
Yeah.
Ultimately, he becomes one of the highly respected Russian businessmen, and now he's considered like within the top 30 businessmen of Russia, which means you earn a seat at Putin's table.
We don't know what he said at that table.
We don't know.
But he was in that meeting on Friday.
He was in Friday's meeting. He's been in several meetings over the years with him. He's obviously respected, enough that he's put at that table. So think about that he may be completely honest, up and up,
yeah, we don't
clean
know.
guy in business. But that is why whatever's going to happen these next couple of weeks around this situation, he is under heavy scrutiny because of that relationship and proximity to Putin.
Yeah.
So,
I hope he's at the table going, turn the ship around, you maniac. But that's just...
I have a feeling we wouldn't see him anymore.
Well, I want to bring out something that Food said on YouTube. That's his name, Food McCarthy. He said something that I've been thinking and talking about, but I hadn't mentioned it tonight, is that F1 teams are soon going to be worth as much as an NFL franchise. I mean, it's true. I mean, I haven't looked
yeah.
at. I used to follow NFL franchise, like the Cowboys were always way up there, and they probably still
Who?
are. The Dallas Cowboys, and but the way things are going with what's happening to F1 in the United States, the explosion in the interest, those franchises are worth a lot, and that's why the Andretti. Ooh, this is a good segue, and that's why the Andretti thing is that's why everybody's saying, are they going to really do this? Because everybody knows how much money it's going to cost. But here's the thought we had earlier. You and I talked about earlier
Yeah.
this afternoon. Is that so? Haas is in this situation. Andretti's wanting in. So I think that if they haven't already, they should at least have the conversation, because first of all, you got two captains of industry. Because the Andretti motorsport is a big time industry. I mean, a big time company now. They're big and getting bigger.
Global.
They're in all sorts of different motorsports. Obviously, Gene Haas is a successful guy. Nobody wants to walk away at this point. In other words, and Gene Haas is just not going to sell to Andretti, flat out. I don't think. He might, but I don't think. And Andretti's not going to want to partner with Gene Haas. He wants his name. Maybe they just have to argue whose names
Haas
comes
Andretti?
first. We've
Andretti
got
Haas?
Stewart Haas. What about Andretti Haas or Haas Andretti? I mean, because for one, if it really does take $600, $700, $800 million, okay, guys, that we know you guys have done well, but that's a lot of money.
That's still a big nut.
That's like you and I trying to come up with $600 or $800.
Yeah.
So anyway, they are. That's just an idea that I had. I'm sure other people have thought of that too, but that's at least something to consider.
Really is. It is something. I don't see that being something that'll come to unless Andretti gets the lead control of it, because that was the big hitch in
That's
the last
true.
deal.
That's a very good point.
wants
That's
to
a
have-
very good point.
He wants to be the steering of that.
Yeah,
And so-
the rumor that we heard, and these are from pretty good sources, was 80%. They wanted him to basically pay full price, but they only get 20% control. They were going to keep 80%. Sauber was.
yeah,
I was like, hello, do I just look like I fell off the turnip truck?
yeah.
I mean, ridiculous. But
So
but at 50-50, especially if it were 50-50
49-51. Yeah.
yeah. Those are always the arguments, right?
Yeah, that I could see. I'd like to see Andretti taking the lead on it and going with it, because I think Andretti has a little bit more experience in that realm. I like the weight and the gravitas that it has globally, having Andretti as the name. I mean,
Yeah.
let Gene stick to the rest of the sports that he does so well.
Hmm.
Gunther, quite honestly, I don't know what their relationship is between the Andrettis and Gunther.
I don't know. When you bring that up, it makes me think. We've worked with the Andretti team a little bit. We've hung out with Mario a little bit.
Yeah.
But we know everybody at Haas now. It'd be like
Yeah.
if they came in and bought him and kicked everybody out, we'd start over. That's totally selfish. I shouldn't even say that. But Food McCarthy piped in, and I agree with it again. Why else would a private equity fund like Doralton Capital buy into Williams? I mean, these guys are Doralton
They're
Capital.
not dummies.
They're there to make money, to
Exactly.
buy low and sell high, and they bought in at the right time and I'm just ecstatic, because that just means the world is finding out about the United States is finding out about our sport, and I'm ecstatic about that. But hey, let's get our last break in.
Show me the money.
Show me the
Please.
money. Let's get our last break in. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. We'll have a little bit from Mick Schumacher. Listen to Speed City live from Austin, Texas. Back after a break.
Hi, this is Magnus Walker. Greetings from downtown LA, and thanks for tuning in to Speed City. Keep Austin weird and get out and drive. Pedal to the metal.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
There you go.
I like old Magnus Walker. He's
I think
funny.
I'm gonna as soon as we clock out a MotoGP next month, I think I'm gonna go see that guy again.
Hey, David Marazzo says, you guys are forgetting that major Saudi money wants a team. Major Saudi money wants everything. They got
It's everywhere.
Now,
It's
good
everywhere.
point. Good point. Absolutely. Let's see. Where was I going to go with this, Les? We got a couple more clips, but
With Mick.
we have Mick clips. Let me look at these. Let's start with let me go back to here, because Bob, by the way, Bob Varsha, I got to sit. I couldn't join because of logistics of where I was, and I couldn't join and be part of the interview. And thank gosh I couldn't, because
Learned a thing or two.
oh my gosh, Bob, that if you go back and watch that entire the interview with Guenther Steiner in entirety, Bob is the consummate professional. He was obviously prepared. He was smooth. He had the presence, the gravitas, unbelievable. So I'll stop gushing about it. But
yeah, that's why we have him.
yep. Let's start off with Mick Schumacher. There's an intro. There's a video called Intro, a producer. Let's play that one real quick. That's a good start with Mick Schumacher.
I'm with Mick Schumacher from Haas Formula One. And Mick, I should point out at the beginning, I covered your father's entire career for American television. I hope you know all of his legions of fans here are holding him in their thoughts. And I will apologize in advance if I accidentally refer to you as Michael rather than Mick. It was totally accidental.
That's all right.
Okay, then off we go. So 2 days into the first test of these brand new Formula One cars, Mick, what are your thoughts on the way your testing has gone in the new Haas creation?
Yeah, I think that obviously we had a bit of a tougher time yesterday. Didn't get to do many laps. Nonetheless, we got to do some this morning, which was good. I think we covered more laps in one morning session than what we did in yesterday's session. We learned a lot. I mean, obviously the cars have some different traits compared to last year. We are at the moment, most of the teams are bouncing around mid straight to the end of straight, which is a bit of a funny feeling to begin with, but you get used to it, and obviously all teams are trying to fix that. I think we're in a good way. So yeah, I think so far so good, and we're ready to roll in Bahrain.
Yeah, I love the way Mick Schumacher. I don't know if you knew Bob or not, but you always hesitate to bring up his dad too much, but I think
Sure.
in that light, I think he's happy to.
I think it was respectful. So I think it worked out well.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's play the next clip with Bob Varsha and Mick Schumacher talking about goals.
Well, you certainly sound positive about what you've experienced thus far, and you've been posting some, reasonably competitive times in the mid-pack now and again. We all know not to look at opening day testing times with anything other than a squint, but what are your goals for yourself and the team going ahead in 2022 based on what you've seen thus far this early in the testing?
Well, I think that you could say that if we're being optimistic, probably consistently in the points would be the target. Being consistently in Q2 and have maybe Q3 appearance here and there would be great. But nonetheless, I think we'll just have to wait and see how Bahrain goes, and that's probably the first time we'll really see everybody showing everything they've got, and basically going down in terms of fuel, and also put on the right wings and stuff, which some teams might not do at the moment because they're just trying out and trying to be doing mileage, because I think it's going to be concerning for a lot of teams this year if they're even going to make the whole race distance without any issues.
Okay, Les, you heard his optimistic goal, consistently in the points. What do you think?
I think that's a little overly optimistic, but I want to see him there. This team has been up in the 8th place range quite often. Kind of slipped back recently, but I would like to see him go back up that direction and get there. That'll certainly improve things, but you know what? The other teams are not the same teams that they were racing against when they were in those 8 to 10 spot.
And let's not forget they finished 5th, I believe, in what, 2018?
That's about right. Yeah,
or 19 maybe.
But I think the other teams have shown the improvement since that time, and so it's a different grid. I
think the good thing about this year that I'm so excited about, it's a complete wild card. We really don't know what to expect. I mean, we all are thinking the usual suspects, starting with Mercedes and Red Bull, but we don't know. we have no idea.
Yeah, over the testing, like Bob said, you kind of look at it with a squint, not making too much out of it, but not total disregard. Mercedes were up front with Red Bull and McLaren and Ferrari all lined up there. And so, and again, way towards the back was Mazepin and Schumi. So, like I said, can't totally disregard it, but don't put too much emphasis either.
Yeah. Hey, I want to go to a YouTube comment. Dixon Smith says, part of me thinks Haas is going to do some pretty major glory runs in testing at Bahrain. They need to lean into everyone, comparing them to Braun GP with a plain white car and few sponsorships. That's funny. Hey, speaking of YouTube, thanks everybody for the likes. We got a few likes on this. If you like what we're doing, give us a like.
You bet. Same on Facebook as well. That's a good point. I mean, Dixon's got Dixon is one of the crew that was here for USGP this year that came into town. And he wanted Haas bad like we all do. He's wearing a McLaren jacket. Picked on him about that.
That's funny. When you were saying Dixon, I didn't realize you meant the gentleman on Facebook. I thought you meant somebody. Scott Dixon.
I remember
like,
that one.
Hold on.
I remember him.
All right, so I want to play another clip from Mick Schumacher. And by the way, this full video is up on YouTube as well. And but this one is about where he talks about his teammate Nikita Mazepin.
Ooh.
Let's hear it.
Last year, perhaps the media exploited it, but there were some spicy relationships between you and your teammate Nikita. How are you going into this season? What's the status of the intra-team relationships?
Well, I guess you could say that we're trying to be as professional as we can, work together and trying to bring the team up to speed and into the direction that for us, for both of us, works the best. I think that, it's important that we work together as a team in that case and give the right feedback and not trying to only look onto lap times, but actually what is happening in the car.
Yep. I like the way he said that, though. It was a little bit almost like they don't like each other. That's kind of the vibe from that. Now, I don't know that because speaking of that,
this week,
a comment on YouTube.
Let's hear it.
David Mariazzo said Mick is a likable young man, and we got to meet them both at COTA, and he was. They were both very likable. Nikita being a lot more gregarious, Mick was more professional, and we didn't get into some of our fun that we kind of do. We were kind of all business for whatever at that moment, but he was a very nice guy. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Really is. Realize, you can't ever forget that your teammate is your number one enemy and ally. And so they're both at the back of the grid. They have not been spectacular, I'll have to say.
It's so hard to tell with the car, though. Last year, how do you tell?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I consistently feel like Mick was up front between the two of them.
Yeah. I think we don't have enough time to play any more clips because we've just got 3 minutes left. I want to talk a little bit more about INDYCAR because we talked about Grosjean, how he slammed in the back of, was it Takuma Sato, right? But I do want to talk about Kyle Kirkwood. He was the fastest rookie.
Yeah.
He didn't have a fantastic race. He had a good qualifying. He looked fast. And I guess I'm just such a fan because we've known Kyle since
2 years.
I mean, since F4 days.
Yeah.
I mean, he got into F4, won the championship, twice? Got into F3. These are US F4 and then US F3, won the championship, the Indy Lights championship. I don't think he's going to win the IndyCar. I think he's finally reached a point where he can't just obliterate the competition. But he is a really nice guy, and I'm really glad he's doing that.
The fact that he's knocking these veterans back on their heels, I love.
Yeah.
Who's this kid?
Huge field, 26 cars at St. Pete. And it was a good last lap battle with Alex Palou. Tatiana Calderon, another rookie, female rookie. I'm really
got a lot of camera time.
Yeah, she did. We've always been big fans of females in racing. Looking forward to the W Series coming.
Absolutely.
Here, back to Austin. We interviewed a bunch of the W Series girls. And
women.
Yeah, well, that's right. We got roasted on social media for calling them girls. I was like, really? Well, I don't even know what to call people anymore. But anyway, they were.
And we did actually go to the communication.
We did. We went up to the head
press
of their
officer for them and said, we don't mean any disrespect. What do we call them? Girls, women, as long as you are pleasant and not degrading, go with it. Whatever you want.
It's true. But anyway, it was fun to get IndyCar back going again. Lee Diffie and the guys, that was great. Yeah. And I'm enjoying Peacock because I watched the Asian Le Mans series, the entire thing on Peacock a couple weeks ago. That was fun.
Yeah, a little special connection.
Yes,
Congrats,
my son is a mechanic in the Asian Le Mans series. And mechanic.
Is he back yet?
He's back. He's back. And they're getting the car ready to go to Sebring. That's what they were doing today. All right, well, we're out of time. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for all the new viewers and new followers that we picked up this week. It's really exciting to have you. And go to our website, speedcitybroadcast.com. Check out all of our socials. We're great on Twitter and Facebook. Instagram, not so much. And really, that's about it. But we try to put out new content all the time. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We'll talk to you next Sunday night.
Ciao, y'all.